Hey TaFam, it's hard to tell and welcome back to my channel. So today, it is going to be a little bit of a different video. So today, I'm going to be doing the story of 9/11. So it has been 20 years since the event that happened on 9/11. It's pretty crazy to see that it's actually been 20 years. And it's, well, crazy to think about. So yeah, let's just go and talk about why this event was like so crazy and so like really changed like America, or to what happened on September 11, 2001. So on this day, September 11, 2001, 19 militants associated with the Islamic group Al-Qaeda hijacked 4 airplanes and carried out attacks against targets in the United States. 2 of the planes were flown into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York City. A 3rd plane hit the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., and a 4th plane crashed outside in a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Almost 3,000 people were killed during the 9/11 terrorist attacks, which triggered major U.S. initiatives to combat terrorism and define the presidency of George W. Bush. So let's talk about the World Trade Center. On September 11, 2001, like the date, at 8:45 a.m. on a clear Tuesday morning, an American Airlines Boeing 767 loaded with 20,000 gallons of jet fuel crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City. The impact left a gaping, burning hole near the 80th floor of the 110-story skyscraper, instantly killing hundreds of people and trapping hundreds more in higher floors. As the evacuation of the tower and its twin got underway, television cameras broadcasted live images of what initially appeared to be a freak accident. Then, 18 minutes after the first plane hit, a second Boeing 767, United Airlines Flight 175, appeared out of the sky, turned sharply toward the World Trade Center, and sliced into the South Tower near the 60th floor. The collision caused a massive explosion that showered burning debris over surrounding buildings and onto the streets below. It immediately became clear that America was under attack. So now let's move on to what happened at the Pentagon. So as millions watched the events unfolding in New York, American Airlines Flight 77 circled over downtown Pentagon, D.C., before crashing into the west side of the Pentagon military headquarters at 9:45 a.m. Jet fuel from the Boeing 757 caused a devastating inferno that led to the structural collapse of a portion of the giant concrete building, which is the headquarters of the U.S. Department of Defense. All told, 125 military personnel and civilians were killed in the Pentagon, along with all 64 people aboard the airliner. So now this is where it took a turn, and this is where the Twin Towers is collapsed. Less than 15 minutes after the terrorists struck the nerve center of the U.S. military, the horror in New York took a catastrophic turn when the South Tower of the World Trade Center collapsed in a massive cloud of dust and smoke. The structural steel of the skyscraper, built to withstand winds in excess of 200 miles per hour in a large conventional fire, could not withstand the tremendous heat generated by the burning jet fuel. At 10:30 a.m., the north building of the Twin Towers collapsed. Only 6 people in the World Trade Centers at the time of their collapse survived. Almost 10,000 others were treated for injuries, many severe. So now let's talk about the last and final airplane that was hijacked, Flight 93. Meanwhile, a 4th California-bound plane, United Flight 93, was hijacked about 40 minutes after leaving Newark Liberty International Airport in New Jersey. Because the plane had been delayed in taking off, passengers on board learned of events in New York and Washington via cell phone and airphone calls to the ground. Knowing that the aircraft was not returning to an airport as the hijackers claimed, a group of passengers and flight attendants planned an insurrection. One of the passengers, Thomas Burnett Jr., told his wife over the phone that, "I know we're all going to perish. That's 3 of us who are going to do something about it. I love you, honey." Another passenger, Todd Bieber, was heard saying, "Are you guys ready? Let's roll," over an open line. Sandy Bradshaw, a flight attendant, called her husband and explained that she had slipped into a galley and was filling pitchers with boiling water. Her last words to him were "Everyone's running to first class. I've got to go. Bye." The passengers followed the 4 hijackers and are suspected to have attacked the cockpit with a fire extinguisher. The plane then flipped over and sped toward the ground at upwards of 500 miles per hour, crashing in rural Field near Shanksville in western Pennsylvania at 10:10 a.m. All 44 people aboard were killed. Its intended target is not known, but theories include the White House, the U.S. Capitol, the Camp David presidential retreat in Maryland, or one of the several nuclear power plants along the eastern seaboard. So, yeah. So, how many people were killed in the 9/11 attacks? A total of 2,996 people were killed in the 9/11 attacks, including the 19 terrorist hijackers aboard of 4 airplanes. Citizens of 78 countries died in New York, Washington, D.C., and Pennsylvania. At the World Trade Center, 2,763 people died after the 2 planes slammed into the Twin Towers. That figure included 343 firefighters and paramedics, 23 New York City police officers, and 37 Port Authority police officers who were struggling to complete an evacuation of the buildings and save the office workers trapped on higher floors. At the Pentagon, 189 people were killed, including 64 on American Airlines Flight 77, the airliner that struck in the building. On Flight 93, 44 people were killed when the plane crash landed in Pennsylvania. So this is where America responded to attacks. At 7 p.m., President George W. Bush, who was in Florida at the time of the attacks and had spent the day being shuttled around the country because of security concerns, returned to the White House. And I'm pretty sure the President George Bush was at Sarasota, Florida, and he was doing telling a story to elementary school students. So yeah. At 9 p.m., he delivered a televised address from the Oval Office declaring, "Terrorist attacks can shake the foundation of our biggest buildings, but they cannot touch the foundation of America. These acts shatter steel, but they cannot dent the steel of American resolve." In a reference to the eventual U.S. military response, he declared, "We will make no distinction between the terrorists who committed these acts and those who harbored them." Then the Department of Homeland Security is created. In the wake of security fears raised by 9/11 and the mailing of letters containing anthrax that killed 2 and infected 17, the Homeland Security Act of 2002 created the Department of Homeland Security. It was signed into law by President George W. Bush on November 25, 2002. Today, the Department of Homeland Security is a cabinet responsible for preventing terror attacks, border security, immigration and customs, and disaster relief and prevention. The act was followed 2 days later by the formation of the National Commission on Terrorist Attacks upon the United States. The bipartisan 9/11 Commission, as it came to known, was charged with investigating the events that led up to September 11th. So now, this is the economic impact of 9/11. The 9/11 attacks had an immediate negative effect on the U.S. economy. Many Wall Street institutions, including the New York Stock Exchange, were evacuated during the attacks. On the first day of trading after the attacks, the market fell 7.1%, or 684 points. New York City's economy alone lost 443,000 jobs a month and $2.8 billion of wages in the first 3 months. The heaviest losses were in finance and air transportation, which accounted for 60% of lost jobs. The estimated cost of the World Trade Center damage is $60 billion. The cost of cleaning the debris at Ground Zero was $750 million. So now we have the 9/11 anniversary and memorial. On December 18, 2001, Congress approved naming September 11 Patriot Day to commemorate the anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. In 2009, Congress named September 11th a National Day of Service and Remembrance. The first memorials to September 11 came in the immediate wake of the attacks, with candlelight vigils and flower tributes at U.S. embassies around the world. In Great Britain, Queen Elizabeth sang the American national anthem during the changing of the guard at Buckingham Palace. Rio de Janeiro put billboards showing the city's Christ the Redeemer statue embracing the New York City skyline. For the first anniversary of the attacks in New York City in 2002, 2 bright columns of light were shot up into the sky from where the Twin Towers once stood. The tribute in light then became an annual installation run by the Municipal Art Society of New York. On clear nights, the beams are visible from over 60 miles away. A World Trade Center site memorial competition was held to select an appropriate permanent memorial to the victims of 9/11. The winning design by Michael Arad, reflecting absence, now sits outside the museum in an 8-acre park. It consists of 2 reflecting pools with waterfalls rushing down where the Twin Towers once rose into the sky. The names of all 2,983 victims are engraved on the 152 bronze panels surrounding the pools, arranged by where individuals were on the day of the attacks. So co-workers and people on the same flight are memorialized together. The site was open to the public on September 11, 2011, which was literally the exact same day, but like 10 years later. To commemorate the 10-year anniversary of 9/11, and that was the 20th anniversary, the National September 11 Memorial Museum followed, opening on the original World Trade Center site in May 2014. The Freedom Tower, also on the World Trade Center site, opened in November 2014. So now, I actually went to New York, or my family went to New York for a vacation, like back in 2019, and we visited the One World Trade Center and the 9/11 Memorial, and then there's this building with like that shaped like a dove. Like it has like white panels as wings, and then like inside there's like a mall and like there's some pretty cool stuff that's in the mall, and then so we pray to God that for all the souls that perished on the 9/11 or September 11, 2001, that they are in heaven and they have a great life in heaven. So yeah. Thank you so much for watching TaFam, and yeah, see you in the next one.